The 100K H-1B fee just killed your tech career by proto-coding. What? Yeah, I'm just gonna be reacting to this video where I've been following proto-coding here as he goes through and discovers what's going on with his H-1B visa situation. So let's just drop in, give it a listen. Let's here we go. There we are. What? Not that. This one.
So right now there is over 100,000 STEM OPT extensions out there for F1 visa students. And as you can imagine, after that executive order was passed of the $100,000 application fee being passed to the H-1B visa, you can imagine that a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos has ensued for these OPT extensions. They are very unsure of their future and what's going to go on and who are they going to work for to eventually get this H-1B sponsorship that most of them are looking for. Probably all of them are looking for. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get into the ramification of this executive order and what you should probably do if you're a business owner to get ahead now. So let's start this right out of the gates. I really originally think that having the H-1B sponsor there is what kind of distinguished many different things from the top OPT talent not going to your company. Obviously, as we know, and I've documented before, there's abuses with the OPT because you really don't need to pay a prevailing wage at all. There's really no checks and balances, especially on that first year of OPT. Once you get to the other 2 years of the STEM OPT, it's a little more restrictive. But essentially, what companies could do is they could bring you on for 20 hours a week, and a lot of the time you could be paying the company to run your payroll. So you send them money with a fee, and they send you money back. What a great business model there to make money is you're basically just exploiting these OPTs to have their F1 visa in check to
Feels a little scammy.
keep them in the country. There's a lot of things like that, and a lot of big companies do this. And you can see it all the time where OPT visas go to work for big companies and they don't do anything. They're really not doing much. They're not doing anything training. And the whole point of this OPT is to give these students more experience working in their field.
Okay.
So there's really no checks and balances. So with the H1,
Wow, wouldn't it be nice to have something like this for Americans? Wouldn't this be great to have some kind of standardized thing to make this happen? But no, just give it to the foreigners. That's fine.
visa, you do have to pay a prevailing wage. And trust me, that is checked there. But for the OPT, you are encouraged to pay a prevailing wage. Let's say the average software engineer in your area is 100 grand. Well, you could probably offer them 40 to 50 grand. As long as you're really above minimum wage, you'll be fine. And the DSO, the designated student officer that's overviewing this at the university, they're not a wage expert. They don't know. So as long as there's no abuse reported, there's no
They can get their wheels greased, can't they? Can't they? Oh, that would never happen. No.
DHS visits, which I probably won't happen, you really have nothing to worry about. And you can take advantage of this. Large consulting companies are doing this. Matlin Silver, GlobalSoft, and Capgemini, they're all companies that I've heard dozens of anecdotal reports for engineers who were working them, who got hired from their OPT extension to work for them, and different things that these companies do to operate, benching and different things such as that to break through. But back to my original point, the top talent, they wanted to go out there. They wanted to talk about what salary they need. They want to talk about getting their H-1B sponsored early. So essentially what you do is you would sponsor it early, then you could kind of amortize that as the business over the years. So you have 3 years, so 3 tries to sponsor the H-1B, and you could amortize that to write up some business value there. So a lot of companies, that whole blockade of, okay, if this someone is coming on to be an OPT visa, I'm going to want to sponsor their visa. And a lot of people who are OPT workers would only go to these companies if they were sponsoring their visa. So again, the top talent, this is what would happen. And it'd be harder even if you would hire someone for OPT that would have these favorable conditions that would outcompete almost any junior engineer out there with the favorable conditions that you have with working with OPT visa. The top talent, again, they're working for reputable companies. They're making sure that they're getting their visa sponsored, and the company needs to be in check there with the H-1B visa system and be E-verified. So you also need to be E-verified for the OPT, but there's more commitment going into the H-1B sponsor. So now that there's a $100,000 application fee out there, the best thing to do probably for most OPTs is to wait it out, because in reality, I was very much ruminating on this. Who are the most important people there? Who are the richest people out there? Who has the power? Big tech here in this case.
Yeah.
And what big tech could do.
Yeah, this is all. I think this is big tech, but just everybody was doing it. I mean, big tech, they're gonna do whatever they want anyway, right? They have all kinds of money, so if they want somebody, they're gonna get them one way or the other, whether there's a program in place or not. But this program made it for like everybody was doing it, like as a part of their business operations, not just an extra thing. It was like the part of their business plan to undercut the wages so they could deliver the same product for less money. That was the idea. This is also this is a capitalist way to do it. But when you start attacking the labor costs, it's just like, oh geez. They should be attacking like somehow to make the technology better so they can leverage people's, as opposed to, because if you once you go after a surface sector and it becomes a surface sector economy and you go after the wages, I mean, what else we got? If the manufacturing's gone, all the people have is left to the service sector, then the wages are going to get pressure from just that fact alone.
Is they're using this to take advantage of it. And if you look into it, there's all these exceptions that were thrown out there now by the president. Oh, if you're a doctor, if you're in certain fields, you're exempt. And also there's a case per case exemption as well. So trust me, if you grease up the president.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, look at that. A grease. Look at a little grease spot. Another place to grease a wheel. Wow. It's almost as if the system is set up to have multiple places that could be greased, almost like it's a grifting little scammeroo. Let's keep going.
in or whatever, do some shady dealing. All this $100,000 fee is exempt. And again, you can amortize it over the years, And again, I think it works out to for 36 months, it's probably $2,700 that you basically get the write off on that engineer's salary coming in and all expenses going in with the revenue you make. So big tech can't afford it. So what's going to happen now is if you're not getting into big tech and you're have the OPT extension and you just started, you will probably want to just go wherever you can. And what are your options? You have these companies that may have abuse, may not train you and whatnot. And what they'll do is they will bring you all in. And even the
Right.
top talent will moreover go to these companies to work because again, they're more likely going to just wait out this visa process because who knows how long this $100,000 application fee is going to stay? Is it going to get struck down? We don't know. You could wait for 3 years to apply to get through this process and to do all these different things. So a lot of OPT workers, what they're going to do is either
But in general, I just want to say, like in the last video, these programs, because of the economic conditions in the United States, and because of this, they're starting to, moving back to from globalism back to nationalism, de facto or de jure, whatever, how you want it going to happen. This program, you should not rely on it. It's so many people have eyes on this stuff right now that was hidden kind of under the surface, and people didn't affect it because they were getting people. There was plenty of work going around, but now there's not plenty of work going around. There's more unemployed people than jobs last month. Yeah, this program is on the reason why it's being attacked right now is because the economic conditions are so bad. When economic conditions were good, we didn't give a crap. Nobody cared because there's pump them in. But now we think that pipe is now full. We're full up, and that's why this program is now. All these programs are in jeopardy. And now the big name companies are always going to have their top talent people, but like having it as a way to somehow leverage your workforce by having managers offload the knowledge workers, which is like what the line workers were for manufacturing, the knowledge workers were for this economy where we're going to ship our manufacturing off to China was going to be okay because we have the technological workers here. Well, when you start to offload that, well, then you're gonna drop away from a first world nation to a second world or a third world, pretty fast because this is. Look at history. It's not. I don't like this. I don't like this plan. This is not my plan, but this is the globalist thing. And the when a mercantilist, it's like mercantilism on steroids. So, and this zone has been dedicated to be like, no, you just you're in debt all the time. You don't get knowledge work. You're just a service work economy, and there's gonna be a small cadre of elite that manage offshore workers and bring in foreign workers who are basically slaves that are doing the same jobs that knowledge workers are supposed to be doing. And that may have worked for a little while, but like when the economy's downturning like this, and there's no new economic engine that's going to light this thing up. We thought the AI was going to do that, but we're going to have robots everywhere, and that'd be the engine. But like, even though that didn't quite make a lot of sense, because we still need to have people working jobs to get salaries to pay it for a society that runs that way, and that's where did that come in? It's like, well, I never really mentioned that part, but let's keep going.
they'll cut deals. Maybe they'll cut deals with their work where, okay, over 3 years, I only need to pay $100,000. You pay the fee and essentially I become an indentured servant to pay it off.
Yeah.
That probably is going to happen, and that is just shameful. Hopefully, companies
I think it's gonna happen by like if things don't change. I think this is gonna continue on like this. But I think there's so many people. Again, there's people with so many eyes around this now that are smart that have been like out of work and like figuring out what the hell's going on. They're like, then they find out all this stuff about this H-1B program going on. It's like, wait a second, what? And then they're gonna eventually organize, and then they'll shut this stuff down and get some sanity back into it, or put it a hiatus on all this stuff until we have a recovery. Because right now, they say it's like, oh, we might have recession. Oh, we've been in depression for a while. I mean, if you look at the not the cook numbers, we're definitely depression levels, like the second depression. So we still never fixed the structural issues from 2008 when we had when that system collapsed. We just kicking it down the can. That's that ZERP thing was. It was just kicking it down the can. But now we're getting this inflation curve that people are like, what? I can't afford to eat or work. I have to work 6 jobs and 2 Ubers, and I can't. And I have to have 6 roommates. Yeah, okay. People are like, wait a second, what? So a lot of these programs are on the chopping block because the economic conditions are so bad.
are doing that, but I could see that happening and then that being paid off over that 3 year span. And I also see essentially companies just bringing in dozens and dozens of OPT workers. So dozens of
Yeah.
workers. Because again, if you're a junior engineer that's American, it's over. Why would you ever think that you would get hired
Right.
over someone who has this OPT extension? Extremely more
Right. So
favorable.
this is one of the reasons why this program might be on the chopping block, because people spend a lot of money and time to get skill up for jobs that were just taken away from them. And like, no, you don't get to do that and not have a response with smart people involved. Once we figure out what the problem is, and it wasn't the, oh, you need to just do more interviews, you need to have more applications. 2,000 applications isn't enough. No, you gotta get that loan paid off. You know, you can't give up that loan in bankruptcy. So you gotta find a job. You've already put 4 years in. You've maxed out you're gonna go for more loans. You're gonna switch careers now. Oh wow! What happens if that one gets destroyed by offshore H-1B versions? See how the cycle's like? No, this has to stop. We have to be a country or just an economic zone. And if we're not economic zone, well, that's it. Stop complaining. This is how it is. But if you want to do something about it, maybe it's time to cut these programs and force it to be cut in some way for another. Which, if you look at history as a guide, there's been ways that things can be reversed. This isn't like it's like set in stone. H-1B is not set in. Did anybody think it was set in? No, it's a law, so can't change it. Somebody voted on it sometime in the past. We don't know when, we don't know who. But yeah, they voted on it. This is the laws, this is the rules, this is how it is. Like, no, that's not how this works. Not in America.
Hours. They absolutely can be paid less. And there's so many other things you could do with them. And you have the control that I've spoken about in other videos. And that control is the most important thing for these companies. So what can you do? Well, you could probably build up a bench, pay them less, and then just start absolutely undercutting projects like crazy. So build up your OPT pool of people out there. Because again, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there. Why do you think when I post job applications, I get thousands of replies? Yes, I'm not even kidding. When I was at Walmart, I remember looking when I was on the hiring team there, Walmart and Microsoft, we'd post a job within an hour, you'd get 20,000 applicants. And I'm not even kidding on that. All these people that are on OPT, actually, if you're on semi-OPT, I think you have about 150 days of unemployment, which is nice. And what you can do is you just mass apply. You're mass applying every day. And that's why there's just so much. Everyone's just piling into these jobs. Everyone is there. There's too much competition out there. And if you're just a junior engineer that has an undergraduate degree, you're done. And you can't compete with that. Any employer out there that wants skilled talent. And again, I've said this before, not everyone is skilled. Only certain people with this OPT extension are skilled. Are they better than the average American? Yeah, probably. I would agree. They probably are. Again, they have a master's degree. They've probably been brought up in their country learning about STEM and going through the rigors
I
of.
mean, we're getting to the bottom of the barrel. If they're so talented, why can't they just do the thing over there if they're so great? Why? When does anybody ask this question? On paper, they look good, but are they actually delivering what they say they're delivering? This has never been discussed. It's never talked about. I know the quality of software that I'm getting from these places is definitely declined. I don't know if you noticed it. Have you noticed things are buggy, strange, quirky, odd, no updates? Like there's been bugs in the YouTube app for years. The same bug. It's like, and on different platforms, different bugs. And it's like, are anybody even testing this stuff? Are they even updating it? Are they even? What is going on? So there's definitely been a quality drop off. So Americans just might need to be like readjust. American, software engineers may need to readjust and say, okay, well, you really got to do it because you really love it, and you go after a small niche. Because I go into this in my series, adventure driven development. Why? Well, there is opportunity here, but we're gonna have to change our expectations. It may not be a 6 salary job for a while until you get a business going or somehow become, realize these tools can be used to leverage and create micro monopolies is what I call them, nano monopolies.
Of the overseas educational system, in Asia, where if you look at the US's educational system, a lot of time it's a joke. I mean, the kids from Baltimore still can't do math at a proficient level. And this
No, it's public school. That's not what we're talking about.
has just been widespread going on for years, and no one wants to fix it because there's no money in fixing it. There's money in having the problem persist, similar to
Right,
homelessness.
right. So this is why a lot of this stuff is doomed to be on the slated on the because people are just like over this. It's a lot of stuff's becoming obvious, and the incompetency is getting so much that people are just gonna have to take it. They're already seeing it with the homeschooling movement. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that stuff over the COVID stuff. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So the people that if you don't want to have your kid in public school, it's easy to get them out and still have a regular education. And you can still go to the sports in the public schools. You can still do that. That's by law. They have to allow that, but you can still have your kids at home and outside the indoctrination camp. That's the fucking public schools have become. So let's not use public schools as a Baltimore, especially as a guy. Let's keep going.
There's no money in fixing homelessness. There's money in trying to fix homelessness. So
Right, currently. I mean, but this has always been the case. I know probably his whole life it's been this way, but not it hasn't been this way my whole life. I saw how things were run. There's definitely ways of to solving these issues. And maybe a little harsh. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I don't really like how that it's happened with, but you want people and you think you shooting up in the streets confused about what's a boy and a girl or not. Because this used to be this all new. No, there's been times in history when it's been like this. It's so cyclical, like Rome. Oh my God. Jesus. Anyway, so we've gone through these cycles before, and we're just in the pretty bad part of the tail end before things start to curve up. And there's a lot of that curve up can be a little abrupt.
a lot of things here. If you are a business owner, again, now you have a pool of extraordinary talent that you have access to now. Again, it's cheap. You have control. And again, these top performers
Right.
within this OPT talent pool, guess what? They probably are going to want to ride out the 3 years and they'll probably come work for you.
Right.
So I think for software consulting as a business in whole, the undercutting will be outrageous. And again, people just want to say, okay, why don't people just go remote? Everything's going remote. You don't have the same control over remoteness here. And there's a whole bunch of different things that even make this STEM OPT really the best possible employee to have, even
Right.
better than remote.
It's a second, basically a second class citizen. And like I said in the last one, America has to have either an economic driver that's driving this massive growth curve, or slave labor. Slave labor can be like subsistence labor. Like, oh, we paid them. Like in the factories in the north, people would be injured. They would be like lose a limb. It's like, oh well, you guess you're not coming into work tomorrow. There's no benefits, no health care, nothing. Just all left to die. Oh well, it's just the way it goes. You were a farmer, milking a cow last week, and now you're in the city getting your arm chopped off, and now you're on the streets begging. We paid them. It's like that's better than slavery. Okay, so America's always had a slavery system, a second class, second tier system. It has to, the way it's set up, and the way the mindset of the leadership of the elite. They have to have some kind of hyper growth thing. If you look on the back of the dollar bill, it says pyramid because everything's pyramid schemes here. Everyone's expecting hyper growth. The whole thing with capitalism is growing exponentially forever, like a freaking cancer. It's like, come on. Come on. Now that may have been reasonable at a time and an age like with pre or like early capitalism when everything wasn't hyper super financialized, but now everything's hyper financialized to the nickel and it's all pushed down to the lower classes. Like the upper classes have figured out how to gain the lower classes. Now we're working Uber jobs and two part-time jobs and still don't have benefits. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you've done there. I see what you've done there. And the people have gone to public school. They're most acceptable. You're doing a gig work. It's very stylish. You're really doing something different. Oh, you're drop shipping. Ooh. Get the hell out of here.
And if it's less money there, just due to the control that you have over this software engineer or anything in tech.
Yeah, you need to have a second class citizens to do this. And this is another reason why this is going to be. No, you can't do this. You can't have second class citizens. I know you H1, we got this regulation and we're trying to help them out. It's like, no. In good times, we don't care. And in bad times, it's like, okay, you got to cut this stuff out. We got too many people going after too many things that you said we're going to be there. You told them we're going to be there. You tell them you can't get rid of the loans. So you know that it's like, yes, you really believe in this stuff. You believe you go to college. So you can't get rid of the loans. So it means you really believe in it. And now you're saying we don't believe in it. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is Gen Z is going to go, no, we're changing all these rules. No. We started the H-1B at one time. We can take it away. Somebody voted it in. We can vote it out.
So will proto coding do something like this? Honestly, the problem is I'm too ethical to really compete like this in the business. I know this happens. And trust me, when I talk with potential clients,
Exactly. Americans, we're too ethical. Whereas the foreigners, they're like, it'd be like, see, he doesn't relate to where these come, where a lot of the cultures of where these people come from. They've been exploited like crazy. So it's like, well, turnarounds are fair play, right? They don't have that same ethical standard that we have. And it's like, okay, think of this. You're an American, right? You're living in here, and you're living in your mom's basement or whatever. And then somebody says, yeah, all you have to do is go to this little class over here and get a certificate, and you can go to Canada and you'll get $100,000 job guaranteed, no problem. Just show up. You do better believe a lot of people. Okay, and then they go, "No, okay, but not 100,000. Say 200,000, 300,000, some number where people are gonna be like, okay, I gotta get off my couch and now I'm gonna do everything I can, lie, cheat, steal, whatever, to get to Canada and get that job. And it's just, and this is where it's going. And the president or the Congress needs to take charge in this, because this can cause revolution stuff to happen. I say that, but that's shit's just true in history. When you allow foreign invaders to come in and take over your workforce, it's not just going to be your workforce, man.
In a place
That's the problem. It's your culture. It's how things are. And if you're undercutting your domestic population to bring in a foreign workforce, you think there's going to be some problems, especially with this. You do it with the smartest ones who can organize and put things together and make things happen, like they were just doing for the companies that just got rid of them. And this is like connect the dots. Do 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 do.
they throw around are just absurd. So no, ethically I can't do it. I don't really benefit a lot from having OPT workers come unless they're actually brilliant. I don't.
Bravo, sir. I appreciate your candor here, and I do really think he's being honest. I don't think he's going to do this stuff, but that also means that, look at his voice. He's like he's defeated because he's like, I guess we're gonna not. Well, what's really gonna happen is we're gonna have to not, instead of just doing software development, we're gonna have to actually do business development, which we're using our software skills to do business development, and we have to find a niche, find a thing, and find a way in, and start tearing into it, and hopefully cash out at some point by one of these big companies. But finding a niche, finding a place, finding a style, finding a way in that will connect to the customer in a profitable way that we can then sell and move on and just move on. That seems to be the market that's going to be happening at this micro SaaS stuff. Let's keep going.
Don't really benefit by having average OPT workers come for me, paying them less, and then going out and undercutting, because I worry about the end product. At my company, I really am worried about delivering great products. And
See,
really
this is the American, this is the Western mind. So the Indians, the H-1Bs, the Chinese, they don't give a fuck about this. They're into scamming. If they can get away with scamming, let's do it. It's part of the culture. It's part of the look, man. I live in Mexico. One of the things here, it's a running sport, is for the more brown person to get someone over on a more light skinned person. You are congratulated here. If you're able to get not all, but you're able to like get over. If you're able to get over on a gringo, you don't think that's part of the other people's? You don't think they're tribal like that? You don't think they're having civil wars over that and doing this to each other? It's not just us. Don't be so solipsistic and narcissistic. They're doing this to each other as just a matter of how things are done. That's why their country is so messed up. And they're going to come over here, and you think they're going to just kowtow forever? You think they're just going to just take it here without bringing their stuff here and doing it with their own people here? See, this is why they're not going to assimilate. This H-1B idea, the whole thing, second class citizen, you can kick down all that whole thing, encourages that shit. It's not, because it's not assimilation. It's not truly being here. You're not truly a citizen. You're this weird second class thing that these corporations love because they look back in history. It's like, this is what works. This is what works. This is what they say. This is what works. This is what works.
People that I want to work with, I would want them to be competent to a level and be smart enough to be someone that I can
Bravo,
look at and say,
sir.
okay, this is someone that's
Kudos
actually
to you.
someone that would be extremely difficult to replace. This is someone that is extremely beneficial to the company.
Right. He understands tacit knowledge like we used to before all this H-1B going down a nickel, ship it overseas, and still charge people the same thing here and hope, why are people living down? Why aren't they coming down? Why aren't people having kids? Why aren't people getting married? It's like, because this sucks. This whole situation, this is no good. This is why it's like civilization is either going to end, which I don't see it happen, or they're going to buck this stuff and they'll be like, nah, time for this to go. Change time. This is over. No more. That's why they're even talking about it all. The president has to come out and bring this stuff up because they know people are freaking done with this shit because the economy is so bad.
The whole treatment of these people, I've never done that. There's no real reason to do that. So if you have ethics and morals like I do, I would still say you could grab great engineers now who are OPT.
Right.
And yes, with restrictions out there, you could probably work out a deal
I'm
that
not
is more
gonna do
favorable than hiring Americans. And again, people might start fuming over that statement, but
No,
the reality
I
is
get it, man.
the government laid out the laws here. This is the rules. This is what you have to abide by.
Right. And we can change the law. We can change the rules. We can change the laws. I'm not hearing any of this here. I must have lived. Definitely grew up in a different era because we would say, no, no, we don't have to put up with that. We can change all that shit. That's not permanent. That's not permanent. It's not etched in stone. This freaking H-1B started in the 80s or 90s. We can turn that thing off. We don't have to be a slave to the past, especially with something like that. That's totally outside the. It's extra constitutional because it sets up this second class citizenry. It's pretty wacky. Like when you really think about it.
Play the game. And again, all these companies, those consulting companies that I mentioned earlier, all of them do this. All of them do this. Why do you think they have thousands of H-1Bs? I mean, this is just the next step here. So with this $100,000 executive order for the H-1B application fee, yes, if you're in a STEM OPT, you are probably the most in demand right now for taking really any consulting company out there, any software engineering company out there, especially if you're not a big tech, go ahead and scoop them up. And if you're a American engineer that's just starting off in your career, just trying to get off the ground, oh, I almost just said it's over, but don't worry, it's not over. But it is looking bleak here because you will be outcompeted in any sense.
Put it this way: the bottom 80%, to stop. If you're not in the top 20%, you'll know if you are, because I can look at your GitHub, how many stars you got on there, and how long have you had that GitHub before you even started college, before your first computer science class. Those guys will do fine because they always do. But the bottom 80% who thought they could just get in an easy job because coding was cool and you're making 100K off the gate, no problem. Just learn how to leak code and grind on the leak code, all that baloney. Yeah, you might be in trouble. But there will be a recovery. I think maybe you could help out, like changing this H-1B situation. This doesn't have to be this way. This isn't set in stone. He's very resigned to it. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's like, I've worked for some of these. I worked for one of these companies. I worked for these in DC. One of these political science companies, computer companies, software companies. We set up organizing software to set up people to do phone trees and go out and do door knock campaigns and letter writing and set up automatic websites and coordinate events, all this stuff, which I'd like to do again, but for right wing instead of left wing stuff I was involved with. I had no idea when I got into it. I was like, what is all this? Man, there's this sophisticated. It is sophisticated now, but maybe there's a way to get involved with, like, hey, we can change. We don't have to have it be like this. We don't have to have our youth be sacrificed for foreigners so corporations get 20 grand off of a salary. We don't have to sacrifice our kids for that. We don't have to. Then why are people talking about this way? It's like, these are our children. These are our youth. These are our people. And we're just sacrificing a lot of corporations. Oh yeah, we'll just bring in some brown person from somewhere, somebody from China somewhere, and we'll just be this will be the same. No. No. When the economy recovers, okay, turn it back on then. That's fine. But right now, no.
When you're trying to apply for a job by someone that has a STEM OPT here. Okay, that's it for the video. All right, everyone else.
All right, yeah, that's okay. Go over there and give me a like and subscribe. Give me a like and subscribe. I'll continue my ranting later. And thanks for listening and commenting. And if I offended somebody, too bad.